a special hearing on the installation of Joy Virginia Cunningham as a member of the Illinois Supreme Court. You may be seated. Good morning. As we begin this historic and exciting hearing, this special session, as I say, this is a session of the court in the court's business. To begin, I would like to introduce my colleagues who are on the bench here. Sitting to my right, we are sitting by seniority. Seniority is real important in our court, and so we continue to sit in that way. To my right is Justice P. Scott Ville from the 1st District. On the other side is Justice David Overstreet from the 5th District. Sitting at the end of our seniority table on this side is the next justice in terms of seniority. That's Justice Robert L. Carter from the 3rd District. And finally, Justice Lisa Holder-White from the 4th District, who at this moment is the most junior person on our court for this moment. I do want to also acknowledge some retired members of this court, justices who have served all of us and served on this bench with many of us. I would like to acknowledge retired Justice Thomas Kilbride, and also very recently retired Justice Ann Burke. Welcome all. To proceed with our program today, Justice Cunningham has chosen Carrie Peck to be our Masters of Ceremonies. Mr. Peck?
Thank you, Chief Justice Tice. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the investiture ceremony for Justice Joy Virginia Cunningham. We want to welcome all of you, some of you from far away and some of you from nearby. All of you welcome to this very special occasion. We want to open today with the Reverend Richard Prendergast, who will address us in prayer.
Good morning. God is always present to us. Let us take a moment to quiet ourselves that we might be present to God. Loving and gracious God, in your plan for us, you have taught us to temper our quest for justice with your gifts of mercy and compassion. As we gather this morning for the investiture of Justice Joy Cunningham into the Illinois Supreme Court, we ask you continue to bless her with wisdom and prudence as she assumes these new and important responsibilities. Help her and help all of us to remember you are always our first and last judge, treating each one of us as you've created us, as your beloved daughters and sons, equal in love. In carrying out her duties and responsibilities, give Justice Cunningham strength and courage to treat matters that come before her with clear vision, to see all of our sisters and brothers as you see us. Give her skilled listening to hear all our concerns without regard to our differences, that she may treat all matters fairly. Help her and all those who serve our legal system to keep ever before them, we are a people cherishing equal justice under the law. Bless her with good health and a clear voice, that she may serve us all well in whatever matters come before the court. As always, we continue to bless all of us with your grace. We may live our lives true to what we profess with our mouths. Amen.
Amen.
It's notable that Justice Cunningham picked the Reverend Prendergast, who is pastor of her church, St. Gertrude Catholic Church here in Chicago. I'd now like to welcome Ethan Carter and ask all of you to please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming? And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Ethan, for that extraordinary rendition. I'd like to take a moment to introduce some of our additional dignitaries here today. And they include notably Secretary of State Jesse White, Madam President of the County Board, Tony Preckwinkle, Chief Judge of Circuit Court of Cook County, Tim Evans, and two new justices who will be joining their colleagues on Monday, Justice-elect Elizabeth Rochford and Justice-elect Mary Kay O'Brien. Thank you all for joining us. I apologize in advance if I miss somebody. Please let me know. Oh, former State's Attorney Anita Alvarez, nice to see you as well. Thank you. So, as the Chief Justice mentioned, my name's Kerry Peck, and I have the honor of being selected by Justice Cunningham today to act as Master of Ceremonies. So today, as you know, we are celebrating the investiture of Justice Joy Cunningham to Illinois' highest court. We celebrate the success of Joy Cunningham, the daughter of immigrant parents, who, like my grandparents, immigrated to the United States to seek a better life for their families. Today, despite the heated and divisive rhetoric, all families, regardless of race, creed, or religion, want to provide their families with the same thing: a good education and a safe, healthy community. They want to raise their children in a safe, healthy community. Today, we honored Joy Cunningham. Joy is a community leader, a scholar, a colleague, a mother, and a wonderful friend to all of us here today. Joy, you are compassionate, an honorable woman whose demonstrated integrity is admired by all. Congratulations on your extraordinary accomplishments to you and your family. Thank you. Our first speaker today is going to be a colleague of Justice Cunningham's, Justice Tom Hoffman. Justice Hoffman and Justice Cunningham have served together for many years with distinction. Justice Hoffman is a mentor and a friend to Justice Cunningham, and we are looking forward to hearing Justice Hoffman's comments. Justice.
First time I got to turn my back on the Supreme Court. Madam Chief Justice, Justice Burke, Justices of the Supreme Court, Justices-elect of the Supreme Court, Appellate Court judges, Chief Judge Evans, Circuit judges, friends of Joy Cunningham. It's an honor to have been requested to speak at the investiture of Joy Cunningham as a member of the Illinois Supreme Court. But before I do make my remarks, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge two individuals who contributed greatly to Justice Cunningham's professional development and her appointment to the Supreme Court. As happy as we all are today at Justice Cunningham's appointment, I believe that Justice Glenn Johnson is looking down from heaven, beaming with satisfaction and pride, knowing that two of his former clerks he mentored in their early legal career will be sitting on the Supreme Court together. Today, Justice Burke, who recommended Justice Cunningham for an appointment to the Supreme Court, is going to embark on a new chapter of her life. She served the judiciary with distinction, compassion, and honor. As a judge, she's been progressive in outlook, wise in judgment, balanced, and fair. Justice Burke retires with the well-earned admiration of her judicial colleagues and the deep gratitude. I don't think that the Supreme Court could have chosen a better individual to replace Justice Burke than Justice Joy Cunningham. For the past 16 years, I've been privileged to have worked with Justice Cunningham. During that time, I've come to regard her as a valued colleague, but also as a very close friend. Justice Cunningham will bring to the Supreme Court not only her experiences in appellate, but also her experience as a circuit judge, private practitioner, and an attorney in the corporate sector. I've often wondered what quality separates a good judge from a truly exceptional judge. Socrates described the qualities as to hear courteously, to answer wisely, consider soberly, and to rule impartially. As a judge, Joy Cunningham certainly possesses each of these qualities, but she's demonstrated additional qualities that made her much more than simply a good judge. Not only does Justice Cunningham possess outstanding legal ability, she applies that knowledge with the intellectual integrity that should be required of a member of the Supreme Court. She has a strong moral compass and courage to stand up for what she believes in. She's truly an independent thinker, but she's no knight errant on a mission to advance some fashionable ideology. I've never known her to ignore precedent or allow any personal philosophy to dictate the outcome of the case. In all the years that I've worked with her, I've never known her to misstate the facts of the case merely to justify some or support some personal agenda. Her decisions are based on well-reasoned application of law, tethered to precedent. I can attest that in fashioning her opinions, Justice Cunningham understands that justice is about more than abstract legal theory or an intellectual exercise. She considers the effect of her decision on the parties to the underlying litigation and also the practical effect on the public bar. The 6 other members of the Supreme Court are going to find Justice Cunningham collegial in every sense of the term. She's respectful of her colleagues, both on a personal level and on a professional level, always willing to listen and consider their points of view. Even in dissent, she never disparages the judges in the majority, questions the motives behind their decision, states her position in respectful terms, articulating the legal basis for her disagreement. She's a true professional who's mastered the art of disagreeing without being disagreed. Justice Cunningham possesses all of the qualities that should be expected of a Supreme Court justice. She's a preeminent member of the legal profession, has outstanding legal ability, an exceptional breadth of experience, and meets the highest standards of integrity, professional confidence, and judicial temperament. Most of all, Joy Cunningham is a decent, good human being. The Supreme Court's gain is the appellate court's loss. I'm going to miss Joy Cunningham as a colleague. Colleagues of her stature are certainly very hard to replace. And I'm going to bring my comments to a close by simply saying, congratulations, my friend. Good luck.
Thank you, Justice Hoffman, for those fine remarks. Our next speaker is going to be Judge Patricia Brown Holmes. You will see a bit of a continuity here in running through this presentation. A number of us, including myself, including retired Judge Holmes, who's far from retired. She's the managing partner of a major national law firm here in the United States. A dear friend, former president of the Chicago Bar Association. Laurel Bellows is former president of the Chicago Bar Association. Justice Cunningham is former president of the Chicago Bar Association. And I happen to be former president of the Chicago Bar Association. So in the meantime, I'm going to turn the floor over to our distinguished next speaker, a bar leader, former colleague of Justice Cunningham, a dear friend, Patricia Brown Holmes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Again, apologies for the back. Feel bad. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to be here to speak on behalf of my dear friend, Judge Joy, Justice Joy. I would like to start first by saying thank you for allowing me to address everyone here. I can't add anything to Judge Hoffman's remarks that you don't already know. So I'm going to speak from the heart and tell you a few things that I know that you might not know about Justice Cunningham. She's looking at me. I've appeared before the Illinois Supreme Court in my career twice, actually arguing 2 times in the same day. As they say, back in the day when I was a young lawyer. And I thought, oh my God, there is nothing better than this. But today, my 3rd appearance before this very diverse and Supreme Court does topple that. And as I look out in the audience and I see my dear friend who will eventually be joining Justice Rochford, it makes me feel even more proud because I think about the time when there weren't women or minorities in the room who could ascend or who would ascend to the bench. We started Black Women Lawyers Association back in 1987 in an effort to get women to go to law school, hoping that they would just go to law school. And now here we are having them on the Illinois Supreme Court. I started my career watching people like Justice Tice, who was in the public defender's office. I was in state's attorney's office, a young lawyer. She was in there full charge as a public defender. As I look out in the audience, I see so many of you who have accomplished so much throughout your careers. But in particular, my friend, Justice Joy, has been a mentor. She's been a friend. She's been a model mother. She's been a model lawyer to so many, including me. I have followed in her footsteps along my career path. We became judges together and she was right there. Here's how you do this. She left the bench. People forget that part. She left the bench to become the general counsel at Northwestern, which gave me courage at a point in time when I was asked to leave the bench, which Judge Evans won't forgive me for. She, you know, I hope you don't mind me saying, but we adopted our children and, you know, showed that love. She's a nurse who has in her heart the desire to help people. That's what lawyers do. That's what nurses do. That's what doctors do. She wants to help people throughout her entire career. Carrie talks about our stints as bar presidents. It was my friend, Justice Joy, who said, look, get yourself in line for this. This is going to be good for you. And I said, okay, fine. I followed her advice. She was always a member of my board of advisors, among other people. Justice Peace Gardnerville. She has shown hard work, perseverance, integrity, compassion, intelligence gets you where you want to go. It got her where she is today. All of our friends, we've watched her, we've modeled after her, we've tried to be her. It gives me great pride. My daughter who knows her, my husband, we're so proud. My mother on the way over, she says, you know, are you going to Judge Joy's ceremony? I said, yes, Mom, I'm gonna speak. Oh my God, I'm so proud of both of you. So Mom sends her love and her pride to you. I know that she is going to be a model justice on this Illinois Supreme Court. I know that she will give her colleagues their intellectual challenges on decisions that have to be made. I know that she will do the right thing, that she will be there with them as they uphold the rule of law in our country, in our nation, in our state. I know that Justice Joy Cunningham is going to be the model, because for me, she is a joy. So Justice Joy, I am so proud of you. I am so happy for you. And I bring all the love of all of our true friends who know you and who know all about everything that you did in order to get here. Congratulations, and thank you for the opportunity to address you and to address this Supreme Court.
Thank you for your terrific remarks. Well, we are moving right ahead in our program, and we come to another giant in the law, Laurel Bellows. Laurel is not only a past president of the Chicago Bar Association, she's past president of the American Bar Association, the largest lawyer group in the United States. Laurel is a longtime friend of Joy Cunningham's. Laurel is perhaps one of the most influential women in American law today and for many years in the past. Laurel, we look forward to hearing your remarks. Laurel, of course, is a stellar lawyer here in Chicago at Bellows and Bellows, where she and her husband have hit a home run on a lot of big cases. Laurel.
But before I turn my back,
We
just
have our permission.
I just wanted a special congratulations to your recent investiture as our chief. Justice Tice, it's wonderful to see you and everybody else here. And yes, a giant who can't see over the podium. Maybe, so I'm going to move over to this side a little bit to say welcome to all the appellate court justices. Welcome to the circuit court justices, to Sisters of Joy, to Jeremy, to Dr. Heffernan, very, very significant other, to all of those luminaries and innumerable friends and family and cousins and nephews who have joined you today, Joy, because we can't stay away from the celebration. You are a very, very special friend and woman. And I thought I would take a minute, knowing that I was going to be last and had to talk about things maybe that other people don't really know about you. No fear involved here. Just to emphasize the extraordinary perspective you bring to this already wise court. And I want to start by saying, friends, imagine if you were named Joy. Imagine knowing that the very first moment of your existence brought joy. That you carried throughout your life the certainty that you were the definition of joy. Because anybody said, come on, play with me, Joy. Joy, make your bed. They were always talking to you, and that was joy. So you enter your life with a way of life, a giver of joy, facing the world with a smile and a positive attitude and a point of view that has been a part of you since your earliest moments. Inner joy, outer joy, our joy. Imagine, my friends, if you carried that name through your life, the power of joy, what would you have chosen to do with that power? I thought I'd just take a couple of minutes to tell you what Justice Joy had done. She, yes, chose nursing, but not just nursing. She chose critical care nursing in the cardiac departments of significant hospitals. And she served as a nurse 3 nights a week while she was attending law school full-time, critical care nurse. And yes, you're right, she chose the profession because she wanted to serve and do good. Training to be a nurse teaches tolerance, patience, humanity, compassion. It teaches you working with patients in crisis. Small wonder that Justice Joy knows how to read people. She was forced to instantly gauge patients' state of physical and mental health, instantly gauge a level of pain and fear, as most of her patients faced mortality, probably for the first time. Trained to focus for emergencies, trained to focus in crisis. We know that she served as a trial lawyer. We know that she served as a litigator. We know that she served as deputy general counsel for Loyola's hospital, immersed in legal and healthcare. And then her world widened again after she served on the bench. She became general counsel of Northwestern Hospital, our #1 hospital in the state and in the city. Part of a small team of executives that Gary Mecklenburger always referred to as a team that could have led a multi-billion-dollar corporation, which it did. But here's what you should know about Justice Joy Cunningham. She walks in to the general counsel position from a judgeship. Not a small task if you think about the 4,000 doctors and 33,000 employees that Northwestern is involved with. And what's the first thing that faces her? The SEIU, the Service Employees Union, was about to walk out of the hospital. That would shut Northwestern down because the service employees run the hospital. They are everything to the hospital other than the judges and other than the nurses. They are the laundry, the dietary, the culinary, the everything. And Justice Joy walks in and says, oh my goodness, my hospital is going to close down. But what did she recognize? She recognized that this was a problem that had to be solved with the union. But the union represented the employees who cared so much about this hospital and their patients. So she had to be negotiating on behalf of the hospital, but at the same time, to negotiate on behalf of patients and the very employees that she might have sat across the table from as an opposing counsel. And what did she do? She built a relationship with Pi Thompson, then president of the union. And together they collaborated to bring the hospital together. No walkout, but changes that change the lives of the patients and the employees, the doctors and the nurses in that hospital, thanks to our Justice Joy. No hospital shut down. And then after coming out of that battleground, another unique. So she brings a perspective of business that most of us don't have the opportunity to gain as lawyers. What's the next job? To sell, to work with the VA and the federal government for Northwestern to buy the only piece of land that Northwestern Hospital owns. The university owns the rest of the land that are underneath the buildings. But Justice learned another job, a complex transaction to buy federal property. Negotiating with that passionate and lovely way of bringing people together that we know her for. And there was the property closed by Justice Cunningham to the delight of both the federal government and the people of Illinois and the hospital. Complex sale. Then, of course, she began herding lawyers, herding cats, as I say, having a new one, all right, as she became president of the Chicago Bar Association. And she worked for the passage of a federal law that assured that judges wouldn't need to disclose their personal information. And then she worked globally with all the city bars around the world to understand and collaborate and bring us together to learn what city bars did in every corner of the world, those who recognize the rule of law and those who do not. Justice Cunningham, we celebrate you, and when we do that, we celebrate the rule of law today because we know that our democracy has to be fought for. It's not a gift. And it's something you carry deep in your heart, and we've talked about many times. And it's one of the reasons I love you personally and professionally. It's because you recognize that the law must work for everyone or it works for no one. It's because you recognize that our system of justice is rendered meaningless when a single citizen is denied justice under the law. And it's because you understand that these are the courts of the people. And you carry these precepts in your heart to assure that justice incorporates fairness, the fullest extent possible. Critical care nurse, lawyer, judge, justice, business leader. And now you're bringing these truths to you. Currently composed, as I said, of wise and dedicated jurists who will take your perspective, your variety of view, your ability to collaborate, and add it to all their talents. Bring us a Supreme Court in Illinois that's like no other in the country, and will be a defender of the rule of law from here to forever. Thank you for the opportunity to celebrate this joyful occasion with you.
Thank you, Laurel, for your fine remarks. So our next speaker is the immediate past Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. As many of you know, Chief Justice Burke stepped down from the court just a few short days ago, actually yesterday, as a justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. She previously stepped down as Chief Justice, and Chief Justice Tice has now taken over that role. I'm not sure where you start when you describe the extraordinary career of Justice Ann Burke. Do you start with the founder, the creator, the originator of the idea of Special Olympics? Think about that. Ann Burke creates a sports competition for people with disabilities. Beyond imagination, beyond belief, a phenomenal accomplishment. But her accomplishments are way too long and extraordinary to go through detail by detail here today. Suffice it to say that Chief Justice former Burke was an extraordinary lawyer. Justice Burke and I met when we were both guardian ad litems in probate a few short, roughly 40 years ago. Justice Burke went on to be a member of the Court of Claims. Justice Burke served the people of the state of Illinois with distinction. Justice Burke has led a career that is admirable to us all. I'm very proud to introduce my dear friend of Joy Cunningham, former Chief Justice Ann Burke.
Good morning, everyone. Almost noon. We, the friends, pardon me, Chief Justice, and my former colleagues. It's the first time I've had a chance to speak before you, but I hate.
You have our permission.
And don't forget, you can put that red light on if you really want. We, the friends and family of the Honorable Justice Joy Virginia Cunningham, are gathered here today to witness and celebrate her accession to the Illinois Supreme Court bench. We all recognize and applaud the hard work and achievements that have brought her to this very proud day, and we all wish her well as she begins this exciting new chapter in her life and career. When Justice Cunningham takes the oath of office today, she becomes a part of history that began more than 200 years ago in 1818, when the Illinois Supreme Court was created. Initially, the court consisted of only 4 members, all men, of course, who were required to ride the circuit on horseback across our young state. And since that time, the court has undergone many transformations and has celebrated many milestones. In 1990, Charles E. Freeman became the first African-American Illinois Supreme Court justice. And in 1992, Mary Ann G. McMurrow became the first woman Illinois Supreme Court justice. And it was just months ago, in July 2022, that Lisa Holder White became the first African-American woman on the court. And today, Justice Cunningham becomes the 122nd Illinois Supreme Court justice, the newest member of this remarkable institution and the second African-American woman to grace the Illinois Supreme Court bench. She also becomes heir to the position first held by Justice Anthony Thornton, who served on the Supreme Court from 1870 until 1873. Justice Thornton was succeeded by a long line of illustrious jurists, including William M. Farmer, William G. Clark, and more recently, our good friend and predecessor, Mary Ann G. McMurrow. Justice Cunningham, if your past achievements are an indication of your future successes, we know that you will serve the Supreme Court and the people of the state of Illinois with the same uncompromising duty, commitment, and humanity, which have been the hallmark of your entire career. And we all have heard so many of the accomplishments and the steps that Justice Cunningham has taken. And she remembers that Martin Luther King once said, "You will never see the top of the staircase unless you take that first step." And Justice Cunningham, you have been taking first steps your entire life. And this is just another step to the top of the staircase. In 1982, we know you served as Assistant Attorney General in Northwestern Memorial Hospital. All those were steps you've taken. But of course, for you, your family always came first. Your son, Jeremy, who is off to college now, congratulations, Jeremy, we're so all proud of you. Your partner, John Heffron, who is off, I should say, your sisters, Sonia, Sheila, and Fern, as well as your cousin, Delia, who is like your sister to all of you. You have remained involved with your entire family, staying connected over the many states and with your many nieces and nephews, attending reunions every time at Christmas time, all through the year. And just a few weeks ago, you traveled to Paris to see your nephew's art exhibit. You are a family woman. Many of them have come here today, as well as the dear friends who have traveled from out of state. Ronnie from Florida, Shelley from Oregon, Jean from New Mexico. They've come here to share your happiness with all of us. Their presence today is a reflection of your dedication to family, to friends, and to the people of the state of Illinois and our country, and is a symbol of the caring and nurturing person that you are. These qualities, along with your experience as a nurse, a litigator, an attorney, a judge, an appellate jurist for the past plus 16 years, make you well prepared to meet this new challenge. another step on the staircase. I am confident that you will bring distinction to the Illinois Supreme Court bench. And so it is with great pride and honor to be your friend and a pleasure to congratulate you in this momentous occasion, that I pray that God will bless you and your family with peace and health during your tenure on the court and for the rest of your life. God bless America, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you, Justice Burke. At this time, I am going to turn the floor over to the Chief Justice. And Jeremy, would you please come forward?
Let's begin here. I think there's a special ceremony that is going to take place before the giving of the oath. Justice Burke, I think you have a role here in bringing forward your dear friend and her role as a justice. Cunningham, if you would come forward to join your colleagues on the bench, and Jeremy, if you'd be so kind to bring the family Bible, the administration of the oath. And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Joy Virginia Cunningham,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the
Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of Illinois
as Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of Illinois
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Justice Cunningham, please take your seat as the junior member, at least until Monday. Justice Cunningham, you may deliver some remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Justice Tice, my colleagues of the Illinois Supreme Court, President Preckwinkle, Secretary White, Chief Judge Evans, my colleagues of the Appellate Court, my soon-to-be colleagues, Justices-elect Rochford and O'Brien, members of the Circuit Court, guests, and members of the bar, distinguished members of the bar, many of whom are here today. Good morning, and thank all of you for being here today. I especially want to thank my family, my significant other, Dr. John Heffron, my son, Jeremy, and friends who have traveled from across the country to be here with me today, and more about that later. I would also like to acknowledge today's speakers, my friend and colleague and mentor, Justice Tom Hoffman, who has guided and helped me to be the best I can be in my years on the appellate court. He was by my side every step of the way. Retired Judge Patricia Brown Holmes, who is a friend, a professional colleague, and like a little sister to me, who is a phenomenal lawyer. She claims to be retired, but she's working harder than ever and is always available to help if I need her. And of course, there's Laurel Bellows, a lawyer's lawyer, a leader in the legal community, an extraordinarily accomplished woman who is my friend, mentor, and champion of many of the principles that I hold dear, such as the theme of my remarks today, which you will hear in just a moment. I am lucky to call all of these people my friends. More about Ann Burke later. So to the three of you, thank you very much for your remarks, which will help to launch me in good stead as I start this next phase of my journey. Today is a life milestone for me. Yet, as I undertake my solemn responsibility to serve the people of Illinois on our state's highest court, a curious image keeps running through my mind. It's an image that lets you know that a communal effort is responsible for me sitting here before you today. And that image is the image of a turtle sitting on top of a light pole. You know that it didn't get there by itself. You may not have known how she got there, but you know that it couldn't have been alone. That is how I feel right now. There were so many people who helped me to the top of the light pole on which I'm now sitting. And while I can't mention all of them, you wouldn't want me to, we'd be here a long time, the diversity of these helpers highlights the principle of helping others to be their best self. My journey up the light pole began with my family. My father, Vincent Cunningham, was a hardworking and tenacious, and I absorbed those values which helped to build confidence and a strong work ethic, as did all of my siblings. There were high expectations for my siblings and me, and boosting each other was just a way of life in our family. We were told there was nothing that we couldn't do if we worked hard enough. Rather, we were encouraged to achieve as much as we could, and importantly, we encouraged each other. And I'm happy to say we still do that to this day, to reach for those things that we want to achieve. I learned the value of education as the foundation of navigating and excelling in places where I may not otherwise have been welcome nor wanted. However, it never occurred to me not to try to enter those places. Then there is my sister, who is going to be embarrassed, but I have to mention her, my sister, Sonia Cunningham, who is the matriarch of our family and more of a mother figure to me than a sister. She has more self-confidence and common sense than anyone I know. And my father used to say, common sense is not so common anymore. But I think it's very important for judges to have common sense. And my sister has an abundance of that and imparted some of it to me. Sonia has turned family tragedy into a lasting platform for good by enlisting our entire family into the common goal of honoring one of our fallen family heroes, my late beloved nephew, an NYPD Staff Sergeant, Keith Ferguson, who with significant support from our family managed to endow a university chair in criminal justice in his name. This was a big deal in our family and underscored for me that ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things if they work hard enough and they're committed to it. I was empowered to witness what can be accomplished when you have the will to succeed and the support to do so. So Sonia, you have been a tremendous influence in my life, inspiring me in ways that you didn't know. Thank you so much. And she's right over there and probably feeling embarrassed. Whenever I talk about my family members who inspired me, I can't talk about them without my late, great Lily Wilson Anderson, who is also at the top of the list, affectionately known to the family as Aunt Lil. She was the most influential role model for me as a young girl. She had degrees from one of Europe's most prestigious universities at a time when it was unusual for women in general to go to university and almost unknown for women of color. She was truly an original. She was fiercely independent, a woman of action who by example brought about change and equality in her own way. At a time when women were confined to specific roles, she quietly, confidently, and without fanfare took on roles which earned her respect among her colleagues and the community at large. Aunt Lil showed me that women who are willing to raise the bar on personal and professional expectations can accomplish anything they set their minds to, and I am proud to walk in her footsteps. Outside of my family, there are many others who made it possible for me to get from where I started to a seat on the Supreme Court of Illinois. Imagine that. These are a varied group and highlight the fact that this turtle could not have climbed to the top of the light pole without their help. While I can't mention everyone, don't worry, I'm not going to mention everyone. Please bear with me for a few quick shout outs, because I think that's important. The late Justice Glenn T. Johnson, whom you have heard mentioned before by my friend, Justice Hoffman, was the second African-American to serve on the Illinois Appellate Court way back when that was not a thing. And Justice Johnson selected me to be his law clerk at a time when Black lawyers were seldom selected for judicial clerkships. By selecting me, Justice Johnson gave me an incredible confidence boost and launched my career. He truly did. In fact, it was he who ultimately was responsible for me later becoming president of the Chicago Bar Association, the largest municipal bar association in the United States. But that's a story for another day. He launched me on that path and I did the rest. I'll always be grateful to him for that and for so much more. Then there was the late Al Tisdall, an extraordinary lawyer who gave me boots on the ground lessons on how to really be a lawyer when I was young and didn't know anything. I worked for him as a young associate, and he taught me to try cases, to navigate a legal landscape that was very alien to me at first. Long after I left his employment, Al was selfless with his time and generous with his advice. So I now aspire to be the kind of role model to others that he was to me. Then, don't worry, I'm getting to the end of this. Then there was Gary Mecklenburg, the best boss I ever had. Gary was the president and CEO of the Northwestern Memorial Healthcare System, which is one of the largest healthcare systems in the United States. I was the general counsel, but it was he who taught me most of what I know about successfully navigating the business world. I learned how to work as part of a senior management team that guided one of the nation's premier healthcare organizations through a period of tremendous growth and success. His wisdom and steady leadership inspired me to excel as a legal leader in business. And lastly, I want to acknowledge my friend, mentor, and predecessor, Justice Ann Burke, who has been an inspiration for me just by living her life. And those of you who know Ann Burke know what I mean. She has been an unwitting mentor to me over the years, even before she actually became a mentor. I just watched what she did and wanted to be like her. So I did many of the things that she did that set her apart. Justice Burke has had an extraordinary career, both within and outside the judiciary, including 16 years on the Illinois Supreme Court. Those of you who know Ann Burke understand exactly what I mean when I say she exemplifies the meaning of public service. If I could only do a fraction of that, I would be happy. She has served the people of Illinois with grace, hope, extraordinary energy, and common sense. So important for a judge. It's always going to be a theme throughout my professional life. Justice Burke, it's an honor to follow in your footsteps, and I wish you a very, very happy first day of a well-earned retirement. So now that you have all had an idea of how this turtle climbed to the top of the light pole that I'm now sitting on, let me conclude with these words from Dwight Eisenhower. He recognized, and you might wonder why Dwight Eisenhower. I think he recognized that the importance of a strong and independent judiciary. And he said, the clearest way to show what the rule of law means to us in everyday life is to recall what happens when there is no rule of law. And that is really important for us as a democracy and in our country. So I'd like you to reflect on that. I think Judge Dwight Eisenhower was correct. And to end up quoting one of my many mentors, the late Justice R. Eugene Pincham, whom some of you know, who looked me in the eye when I joined the appellate court and said this with his characteristic forcefulness: always do the right thing, Joy. I've lived by that mantra as a judge. And as I joined the court, the highest court in our state, you can count on me to be fair, even-handed in upholding the rule of law in service to the people of Illinois. And I'll always, always do my best to do the right thing, no matter what. Thank you very much for sharing this incredible journey with me.
Justice Cunningham, we are so proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, everybody in the room has been invited to lunch. We're going to be breaking for lunch very soon at the Union League Club, 65 West Jackson. If you don't know, we'll be in the 5th floor Crystal Room. And before you get out of your seats, we hope to see you there and you come hungry. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege. And Dr. John, would you please stand? When I asked Justice Cunningham how to describe Dr. Hoffman, she said, please tell the audience he is my significant other and my best friend. And I have to say, not only is he her her significant other and best friend, but he's an extraordinary orthopedic surgeon at none other than Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Thank you, John. Father Prendergast, would you please approach the podium and give us your final remarks?
Gracious and loving God, we thank you for your presence among us today. Keep us ever mindful of your many blessings. Keep us safe today and always. May our lips never fail to praise you. May our hearts never fail in compassion for our sisters and brothers, your daughters and sons. Amen.
Thank you, Father Prendergast. Chief Justice Tice,
Very much.
program back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today and next Monday are truly historic moments in the history of Illinois and in the history of this court. As you've heard it described by Chief Justice Burke, we've had a long history since 1818 of many members of this court. If you ever have a chance to come to Springfield, and I hope if you do, that you'll come to the Supreme Court building, a beautiful 1908 building filled with lovely stained glass and murals, you'll see in the long hallway, as you walk behind, next to the courtroom, there are portraits of the various previous Chief Justices. And in the very back of that hallway, right behind the courtroom, is an attorney's room where the attorneys can take a few minutes to prepare before they begin their oral argument. And in that room are photos of almost every person who has sat on the Illinois Supreme Court. If you have a chance to see all those pictures, you can't help but notice that almost every one of those faces are a face of a white man. As Justice Burke told us, it's not until 1990 that the first African-American joined this court. It was not until 1992 that the first woman joined this court. Look at us in this moment. Today, of 7 members of our court, 3 members are African-American, persons of color. On Monday, when our new colleagues are sworn and join us, there will be 5 women out of 7 justices. Now, most people think of the Supreme Court as the court that decides the biggest cases, the last resort, that kind of thing. The Illinois Constitution gives to the Illinois Supreme Court the supervisory authority over all the courts and also all of the legal profession. And so it's very important for the court not only to make decisions in cases, but to set policy for our system of justice. And in perhaps a larger way, to set the tone, to set the face, if you will, of justice for the people of the state of Illinois. After today, after Monday, the people of the state of Illinois can look at their Supreme Court and know that it reflects all of the people of our state. The ultimate ethical obligation for every judge, and my judge friends are rolling their eyes because I say this all the time, is Supreme Court Rule 62, which says that the judge must conduct him or herself in a manner to promote the public's trust and confidence in the impartiality and integrity of the judiciary. That's what we are committed to do. And each one of us on this bench, each one of the judges across the state, our new colleagues, we once again commit ourselves to earning the people's trust. Mr. Marshall, the Supreme Court is adjourned.